All right, so we're gonna kick off. So again, good morning to everybody, and a very happy Friday to you all. We're broadcasting to you today from Johannesburg and also from Cape Town. So I have Guy Duncan on the connection with me, and Guy heads up the technical aspects of First for Cloud. And this morning's webinar is really about the reality of spinning up a VM. So we're going to get into that in just a moment. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Kevin Durman, and I'm the General Manager for the cloud and the hosting businesses at First Distribution. Right, so I just want to make sure that we are on mute so we're not getting any additional noise coming through. Perfect. Okay, so let's get stuck right in with chatting about what we're going to be speaking about today, which is really infrastructure as a service. And before I go into it, I just want to chat briefly about cloud technology in general. And also the philosophy that I believe that when you're explaining to your customers about cloud, that it's almost better to stay away from the word cloud. And that is because there are so many definitions out there. There are so many misinterpretations of what cloud is. And it really instills quite a lot of fear. Well, if you think of it, cloud is really just the delivery mechanism. And why it's not necessary to speak about it is just as electricity is a delivery mechanism, for example, to a kettle, you don't always speak about an electric kettle, or let's use the electric microwave. The only exception there being the electric guitar, which you do speak about as the electric guitar, as opposed to the gas guitar and the wood-fired up guitar as well. So yes, my belief is really that we will start making a lot more inroads with clouds if we stop talking about the technology and really start speaking about what does the person want to do. And what do they want to do? Well, with regards to infrastructure as a service, it is really no different than what they're traditionally doing. And there on your screen, you can see typically you have a computer network, you have servers that are attached to that network, you have applications that are loaded on those servers, and you have a storage database. And when you take it to infrastructure as a service and take it to a virtual machine, you are just drawing a line where you see that computer network over there and putting everything that's on the left-hand side in what we call the cloud and into a data center somewhere. And that's the only real difference that's there. What we're finding at the moment is that companies and enterprises and SMB organizations are they're exploring the avenue of using public cloud, and they're utilizing really this hybrid environment quite a lot, where they have some information and some systems that are based within their data set, their own data centers, so it's their private cloud. And then they're starting to explore and utilize things in public cloud. For example, hosted Exchange, hosted email, maybe it's backup as a service, and maybe they're doing some development work where they need a virtual server that they'll work on it, or they are perhaps happy to put their entire workloads into their public cloud environment. So if you're looking for a proper definition, though, of cloud, and you do get pressed by one of your customers to say, well, what exactly is it? Here's a very handy definition, and that is it's the practice of using a network of remote servers hosted on the internet to store, manage, and process data rather than a local server or a personal computer. And the key word there is hosted on the internet. So the internet is the conduit to the cloud. It is the wiring and the plumbing that is bringing the service to the person who is utilizing that service. Now, when we speak about cloud services, typically we speak about three main broad categories, and those are infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. And these are typically called SaaS, PaaS, and I always laugh when I see somebody who is speaking at a conference and they go SaaS, PaaS, and then they get to the infrastructure as a service one and they kind of struggle on that one because to go yes is not so great. So yes, it's yes. Infrastructure as a service is typically what they would say with that. The reason why cloud is expanding at such a great rate, and we have this great growth rate, is really because of the advantages of cloud. And, we're speaking about things of lower computing costs, moving from CapEx to OpEx, instant software updates, really all of those type of benefits is the great reason why people are moving to cloud. I experienced this just yesterday. I was utilizing my phone. A WhatsApp message came onto the phone, and I looked at this and I thought, wow, WhatsApp suddenly looks different. And going into the application, the entire user interface had actually changed yesterday. And I didn't have to do anything about that. I didn't have to decide whether I was going to upgrade the software. I'm utilizing the service. It is a SaaS application, and it just automatically happened that this is how it's changing. And this is really one of the benefits and the advantages. And when you think about it in terms of the server world, and you think about the difficulty of maintaining patch upgrades, when you think about the security of the server and ensuring that you're up to date on all those things, when it's on premise, it is largely the responsibility of that company where the server is sitting. The moment it's in the cloud, that responsibility really goes away if it's a managed service. So today we are going to be focusing on that bottom layer, that infrastructure as a service, or IaaS. And there we're speaking about the servers, the networking, the storage, firewalls, load balancers, the whole data center fabric that's around that. And we're going to show you how you actually spin that up. What's tending to happen these days is that a bit of the platform as a service is moving down into the infrastructure as a service layer. So there is a slight blur on that. And I just want to take you through the traditional model of looking at these different things and what's included. So on the far left-hand side, what you see here is the traditional IT on-premise way of doing things. And that's where, from the networking components, the storage, the servers, right up to the application, everything is sitting on that local server on the customer's premises. Then we start migrating up the stack from infrastructure, platform, and software as a service. And as we move more over to the right, we start doing more and more of these things as a service for your customer. So the first layer of it at the infrastructure level is to take the networking, the storage, the server, the virtualization layer, and sometimes the operating system as well. And that aspect is managed, is staying in a data center and is managed by the reseller or by the hosting data center as well. Then the customer themselves would load on the middleware, the runtime license and the application and the data, etc. Moving it one layer up to platform as a service, that's where the operating system, the middleware, and the runtime actually sits and is supplied by that partner, that reseller. So the customer does not have to worry about patch management. They don't have to worry about maintaining the database, etc. But they still have to put on the application in this environment. And then finally, a SaaS solution is where all of that is delivered as a service. So the SaaS is really about the user experience. It's about, I'm signing on, I want to utilize a service. I don't want to worry about what database it's on. I don't want to worry about what the operating system is on. In fact, I'm not even interested in that. I just want to utilize the service. And a good example there would be something like a MailChimp, for example, where you're just utilizing that. It could be a Dropbox type product, etc. I want to draw the analogy of what I've just gone through now to pizza as a service. And this slide is incredibly useful if you're explaining this to a customer who is not familiar with all of this technology, and they're wanting to understand what are they getting when they are going for a infrastructure as a service or a SaaS application. And you could easily say to them, well, traditional on-premise solution where it's your server, you putting on the operating system, you putting on the database and the application, it's like making a pizza at home from scratch. You have to supply the cheese, the toppings, the dough itself. You've got to roll out that dough, put it on. You've got to put it in the oven, whether it's a fire oven or electric gas oven. You have got to, then once the pizza is cooked, you've got to have the user experience of that pizza, which is sitting down at your dining room table, having that can of Coke and enjoying the pizza. So when you look at infrastructure as a service, it's kind of your take and bake scenario. It's where you go into your Woolies or into your Pick and Pay. You go to the freezer and you pull out one of those pre-made frozen pizzas that you still now have to put into the oven at home. So you are just really getting the bare bones of what's required, and that's the infrastructure as a service. That is what you're getting. You're getting that server level, but you still need to cook it, and you still need to have the application or the user experience of it, which is sitting down and enjoying it. Platform as a service means that pizza has been delivered to you. It has been cooked. It's ready to eat, but you don't have the utensils. You don't have that final experience. You've got to still supply a table to sit down at. You've still got to supply that can of Coke and eat the pizza. And then the SaaS stuff is where you're dining out. You're arriving at a restaurant. You don't care whether they had a electric oven or whether they had a gas oven or fire oven. What you care about is that your pizza arrives at the table with the Coke, with a knife and fork, and all that you have to do is sit back, eat the pizza, and enjoy. And that's ultimately SaaS. You're arriving, you're consuming the service, and you're enjoying the experience. So there are many different flavors out there. And when you're speaking about clouds to your customers, please be aware that a cloud is not a cloud is not a cloud. Everybody has this different understanding of it. So while you might be thinking of number 2 cloud there, they might be thinking of number 6. And you need to make sure that you're on the same page with regards to all of this technology. What we're finding is at the moment, the SMB market, certainly on the startup markets, people are all in terms of cloud. They're quite happy to have their ERP system, their CRM system, their backup, their storage, etc. All of that sitting in the cloud. They don't even think about having servers on premise. While a typical enterprise would be like cloud number 5, where they've got a whole host of stuff on premise in their own private data center, and then they would have these little clouds out there where they're happy to have public cloud things like hosted Exchange, etc. So today, from a First for Cloud perspective, we are going to be focusing on our infrastructure as a service offerings. And there you see from the First Distribution web store, where you can go in and you can order a Amazon virtual server. So it's an AWS virtual server for your customer, on behalf of your customer, and spin it up. And Guy's going to take us through that in just a moment. And you'll see how that is. And just to show you that we have global offerings like that, but we also have local offerings. So if you have somebody who's concerned about Poppy, for example, and whether they understand it or not, if they say they want their server in country, well, they can have a virtual server in country, and you can supply that through your First for Cloud solution as well. And here's an example. You can get a light workload server, a server dual core with 4 gigs of RAM, 100 gigs of storage for 1,932 Rand per month over there. So we have different flavors of infrastructure as a service. We have soft layer as well, and there you can see the soft layer servers that are available, and they range from a host of small servers right up to 16 core servers. So really high intensity servers that are great for large demands that you need there. So First for Cloud offers you a range of offerings on infrastructure as a service. There for that particular server on soft layer, it's a medium server, 4 cores, 16 gigs of memory, 250 gigs hard drive space. It's got Windows Server 2012 Data Center Edition preloaded on it, and that's 4,500 Rand per month. So from a First for Cloud perspective, what you're solving by having your own First for Cloud web store, which I'll show you in a moment, is this particular scenario. And this is what your customer is experiencing. They are consuming a myriad of services that are out there and of public cloud services. And for each service that they're consuming, whether it's a Dropbox, whether it's a MailChimp, whether it's SoftLayer, Office 365, etc., they have a different support number, a different contract that they've signed into, a different bill going off at different times of the month, their logins, passwords, etc. And it very quickly goes out of control into an aspect that we call cloud sprawl. So what we've done at First for Cloud is we've allowed you as the reseller to simplify this for them. We allow you to offer the best of breed global and local cloud services. You simplify that consumption by pointing your customer to your web store, your First for Cloud web store. So it is white labeled and branded via your branding. You are able to give them one bill. So it's one account once a month for all of the cloud services that they're consuming, whether that is Office 365, McAfee Security, CRM, maybe they're using a governance, risk, and compliance, they're using something like Cyberlight for payroll services. You'll give them one bill, consolidated. They're able to manage their users. So a typical scenario where somebody is utilizing Dropbox and they leave the company, normally that data actually walks out the door with them. But under this scenario, if they were utilizing our Dropbox equivalent, which is Scoot, as that person leaves the company, they can disconnect them from all their cloud services. So the governance that's around it is really great. And then most importantly, it's one relationship. And that's the relationship with you, the reseller, with your customer. You own that customer. And so you are able to supply them with all of these services through your reseller web store, which we create for you. That's your branding. And you're able to go into the First for Cloud catalog and pick and choose what products you want to offer to your customers and what you want to equip your store with. You make your money in the normal way that you make money when you buy anything from a distributor, and that is there's margin involved. And the margins range from anywhere from 8% up to 37%, and we typically average out stores at about 20%. But you also make your money out of services. And the services around this are, setting it up for them. It could be a hosted exchange migration. It could be advice and helping them with their backup as a service. It could be a CRM and setting up a CRM system, etc. But all of it is available through the web store. So in summary on the First for Cloud offering, this is your ability to have the best of breed cloud services, global and local, and offer these to your customers, not lose your customers to anybody else. It's your branding. The time is now to actually get involved with this. If you look at how the rate that cloud is accelerating, what's happening out there is as somebody signs up to a service, to get them away from that service is very, very difficult. So you want to grab those customers now. So it's time to start building that annuity revenue stream immediately. You own your customers. I reiterate that. You can access new markets depending on your digital marketing strategy and people arriving on your website. And we can set up your cloud web store for you in as little as 30 days. We currently have a special on for this, so I would encourage you please to get in touch with me or get in touch with Donna Sinman, and I'll give you the email addresses at the end of the presentation to hear about the latest special on getting your web store. So the money is moving to the cloud, and I would encourage you to get involved now because there is no time like the present. So at this stage, I want to hand over to Guy Duncan, as I said, who Guy is in Cape Town. And Guy's going to take us through the aspect of actually what it looks like to spin up one of these virtual servers and how simple it is and how easy it is for your customers to do it. So, Guy, thanks for joining us this morning. I hope the weather's good in Cape Town. It certainly is in Johannesburg. How are you doing down there?
Hi, Kevin. Unfortunately, the weather's not looking great for the weekend in Cape Town, so thanks for asking, though. I understand Johannesburg's much better.
Always is, always is.
Great. I'm just opening up the presentation. Can you see everything on your side?
Yes, you're up there, and you can take it away.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thanks very much for the intro, Kevin. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you through two examples of spinning up a VM or a virtual machine or a server as Kevin was saying, we'd like to just call them servers instead of cloud servers or virtual servers, because in effect they have very much the same properties. So the first example I'm going to do is I'm going to spin up a VM, an Amazon VM, through first of all cloud, and the first of all cloud web store that we use is a demo web store in this example called Incredible Cloud, and we're going to spin up the VM from the Incredible Cloud interface. So this is the Incredible Cloud demo web store, and obviously what you can see is the Amazon Web Services icon and tile. So effectively what we do is we click on, we sign in to the web store, to the Incredible Cloud web store, and what we get is we get the Incredible Cloud dashboard of services. And obviously what you can see is at the moment there's Amazon Web Services as a subscription offering, and effectively as you add the different cloud services, McAfee, SoftLayer, Kaspersky, they'll appear on the on this dashboard as icons, and you can effectively go through into them and manage the services from here. So what we'll do is we'll click on the subscriptions and catalog tab in the menu, and we'll go and we'll see all the services that Incredible Cloud offers. So what we'll do next is we'll click on AWS, Amazon Web Service, Amazon Virtual Service, and we'll click through and we'll come to a configuration panel. So effectively we'll just run through some of the areas. So we're going to set up a server in Ireland. It's current generation technology. It's compute optimized. So what you can do is, depending on your requirements, you can get different servers, like a GPU optimized. You get different types from an Amazon point of view, how they classify it. C3, C3 large. You can obviously choose your operating system, and you can also load an Amazon machine image, or refer to as an AMI. So effectively, what we're going to do, what you can also do is click over the blue question mark icons, and what will effectively happen is they'll come up and give you an explanation of what those areas are. So we're just going to click the I agree to the services conditions and step through. We obviously want to give the instance a name. We're going to call it test VM in this scenario. We are going to use a pre-existing security group, which is just the area where you go in and you set up what's called a VPC on Amazon, and you assign ports and you open ports on the server for HTTP, POP, SMTP, all the normal ports that you would want to open, or the application-specific ports. Then effectively what you do is you can also use a tagging system, which is very helpful because you can tag products, you can tag instances and all services, which allows you to bill more correctly in terms of knowing which projects fit together. So if we step through to the next screen, what you will go to then is you will go to the IaaS, or Infrastructure as a Service console, and what it will do is it will list all your instances, and this is obviously a demo environment, so you can see a lot of terminated instances, and you can see the test VM, which is currently spinning up at the moment. So what is happening behind the scenes is there are calls going back and forward from this Incredible Cloud, the first for cloud platform, to Amazon, and they're talking to each other through APIs, and they're provisioning the server on an Amazon level. So effectively, if I step through, you can click on the server's been up and running now, so we can click on the View Details button, and what it will allow us to do is, we can click on we can mouse over the test VM, and we can actually view the details of the server. We can launch SSH from here, we can stop the server, we can terminate it, and we can reboot the server. So you don't actually need to go out of this interface. This interface controls all the APIs back and forward from Amazon, which is really nice because one of the difficult things was managing a distributed cloud environment from an infrastructure point of view is you've got all these cloud suppliers and cloud service suppliers, and what you're looking to do is consolidate them in a single view. So what's really handy about this is you can see all of these virtual machines in one screen, and you can stop, start, and manage them from here. You can also SSH, and if it's a Windows machine, what you can do is you can RDP through from this into those environments. So that's effectively spinning up a VM through the First for Cloud interface or the First for Cloud platform. And in this case, as Kevin said, it's a white labeled store called Incredible Cloud. So effectively, from if you had to go down this route of buying a web store and getting involved, what it would do is it would give you all the functionality that we've outlined here in the platform for your customers to come in and being able to spin up VMs from different suppliers. In this example, what we've done is we've used Amazon Web Services. So the next scenario that I'm going to take you through is spinning up a VM from the Amazon console. What happens in this example is we actually still use the web store as a cloud enablement platform. And what we do is we push through into the Amazon, we use a process called SSO, single sign-on, and we push through into the Amazon interface, and we can manage and spin up a VM from there. So I'll just go through it. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen at the top right-hand corner is a vendor console. So effectively what happens is when you mouse over the vendor console, Amazon Web Services tab comes up, and what you can do is you can click on that tab, and once you do, the process will happen that a new browser window pops open, and it will single sign you on into an Amazon interface. So into the Amazon interface. So you can see in the top right-hand corner, we signed on as Incredible Cloud, the web store that you're coming from. We're signed on into the Island Data Center. These are all of Amazon's services. Effectively, what we're going to do in today's example is we're going to choose EC2, which are virtual servers in the cloud, and I'll go through and click on EC2. So once we're in EC2, effectively we have a whole lot of different elements of managing EC2. For today's example, I'm just going to focus on spinning up an instance, obviously. So I'm going to click on the Launch Instance button. Once I've done that, I go into what's called the Instance Console, and you can see effectively what you would see if you had other instances. Here is a list of all your instances. So I click on, if I click on the Launch Instance button, and what it does is it takes me through. So what I'm going to do now is I can come through into this, and I can see these are called Amazon Machine Images. They're AMIs. They're effectively an image of the software that I'm going to put on top of the server. And what I'm going to do for today's example is I'm going to choose a free tier Microsoft Windows server to spin up. And so I'm going to select the Microsoft Windows 2010 R2 base server, and I'll go through. Then what I'll do is I'll come through and I'll select, you know, the virtual size of the server. So what I'll do effectively is I'll come through and say, obviously I'm spinning up a free tier server today, so I'm using 1 CPU, 1 gig of memory. The instance storage type I'm using is something called elastic block storage, and what that does is in a dynamic scaling environment, it allows the storage to be detached automatically if you use load balancing. So that is the storage that I'm going to use. That's the server that I'm going to use. I'm going to go through, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to configure the instance details. So I'm going to say I want 1 instance. That's the network I want. You know, so I'll join an existing network. I'm just going to allow the default for this. On a subnet, I'm going to say there's no preference at the moment, so the availability. I'm going to ask for Amazon to auto-assign a public IP for me, and it's going to be in a shared multi-tenant hardware environment. So what I do, the next step is I add storage. Obviously, what I can do here is I can add as much storage as I need. At the moment, I'm just having 30 gigs for this example. I'm stepping through to the next screen. It's setting up the tabs, the tags, and effectively what we do, as I discussed through the first four cloud interface, is we're going to tag the instance so that effectively we know what is happening in future. And we can do it on a billing level. We can just do it on a searching level. When you've got a lot of VMs, we can go through and search for particular tags. What I'm going to do next is configure a security group. So this is effectively taking that security group that was in from the instance, and I'm going to open specific ports. What I want to do in this example is open an RDP port. So I add that port, RDP port 3389, Windows RDP, and I step through. So effectively, this is a review screen. I can see everything that I've selected. So the AMI is Windows Server 2012 R2 base. So on the specific instance type that I've set in is a T2 micro. The security group and what I've set up and what ports are open, and I'm going to click on the launch button. So effectively what it does from a security point of view is it asks me to create an encrypted key pair. So as a user, I'll store one key pair and Amazon will have a matching key pair. So what we do is we choose an existing key, we choose to create a key pair, and we just name it test key at the moment, and we click on download the key. Then effectively, once we've done that, we click launch and we go through, and effectively what's happening in the background is the server's busy launching, it's spinning through the processes, and it's busy enabling, putting the AMI on top of the infrastructure that we've selected, and it's busy spinning up the server. So you can see in the console now we've got one line, we've got one row effectively, and you can see that it's busy, the state's pending, it's initializing, and it's going through, and you can see all the information about that. So effectively, if we just step through to our next step, the server's up and running. So what we choose is we right-click on that row, and we choose Get Windows Password. So effectively what we're going to do is we're going to use the key pair, the key that we downloaded. We're going to choose a file, and we're going to upload that file, and what it will do is it will result in unlocking the key. What you can also do is you can open the PEM file, the key file, in Notepad. You can select the text, you can paste it in where it says paste contents of private keys, and you can click decrypt password. Once you've done that, what it will actually do is it will give you the public IP of the server, the username, and the password. So what we're going to do, so what you can actually do is you can come through, and you can also right-click. If you go back to the instance console, you can right-click, and you can do a lot of other things from here. You can start, stop services, obviously. You can look at the images. You can create snapshots. You can create a snapshot of a server, spin up a new server very quickly. You can move IP addresses between the different servers. There's a lot of functionality in this console, but what I'm going to do is I'm not going to touch on any of that for today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Windows, and I'm going to call up the RDP, the remote desktop console, and I'm going to put my details in, the server IP, the administrator username, and effectively I'm going to click on the connect button. Once that comes up, I'm going to enter my password effectively, and what will happen is it will give me a certificate, a token, a security warning. So I'll accept the certificate, understanding the risks, and effectively I'll start RDPing onto the box or the server, And effectively what will happen now is it's obviously Windows booting up, loading the user profile, and I will physically go onto that server, or virtually go onto that server, sorry, and I'll be able to install my applications, do whatever I need to do from that environment. So that's effectively how you spin up a server from the Amazon console itself through the First for Cloud platform. So there's obviously the single sign-on through the First for Cloud platform. What I thought something else I'd just show you is the infrastructure as a service dashboard on the First for Cloud platform on a web store that can be white labeled. And effectively what it will do is it will give you your billing usage, and what you can see is currently the billing usage on this incredible cloud is 42,000 a month. And effectively what will happen is it will give you a projected estimate based on your gross and your load. So it gives you quite nice details. And then you can see all sorts of other things. Obviously, this is a demo environment, so we've terminated quite a lot of the services and the service and services, and we bring services online and we terminate them for demo purposes.
And Guy,
so,
if I can just comment there that we find that it's quite an advantage for the users, our users, to actually have a figure in rands. You know, normally when they do this kind of thing, yes, and they're having to go directly to the vendor, it's a dollars amount. They've got no idea what they're going to be billed for at the end of the month. So there's two very useful features here. The one is to actually have the billing in rands, and the other one is to actually have an estimated usage. So we find that that is quite a good advantage.
Kevin, the other big advantage of that, you know, is that this is across all providers on an infrastructure level. You know, so what it does is it gives you one view across all. Obviously, today we've covered Amazon as a cloud service provider, but what this will do is it will give you all your infrastructure as a service providers in one view, the bill, which is quite nice, where you went back in your presentation earlier on and you were saying a single bill, this aggregates your bill all together. Obviously, you can break it up, and there's very advanced reporting in the web store. But what it allows you to do effectively is be able to see what your total number on an infrastructure level is on a monthly basis and a projection of that.
Right. And Guy, when we look at the local providers on infrastructure of a service, so if we take the Pamoja instance and you choose one of those servers, how different is that experience in actually managing that server to what you've shown us today?
It's a bit of a different way that we go around doing it. But effectively, the end result, it's a different mechanism. You know, it would be more like the first example that I showed you in terms of talking through the interface. At the moment, we don't have a single sign-on to Pamoja as a service, but effectively what you do is you'll still get the end result is you'll still get the SSH or RDP details. You can still sign on and manage that service and server and set it up and run it from an infrastructure point of view. So the similarities are very.
So they have full control over that, and it's essentially the same end result of you're able to load whatever you need onto that server, you're able to handle the security profiles, etc., and do what you need to do.
100%.
Great. 100%. Are there further slides, or you've?
No, that's it. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Guy. Thanks so much for that. If there are any questions, at this stage, please feel free to type in your question into the chat window, and we will be able to answer that for you. I did say that I would put up the email address. And there's my email address over there. So it's kevin.derman@firstdistribution.co.za. As I mentioned, we currently do have a special that we're running on getting your own web store. So I encourage you to speak to us, or you can mail Dana Sinman. That's DANA .Sinman, CINMAN, at firstdistribution.co.za. And either one of us can help you with that. there are any questions, please feel free to ask. If you have anything around the infrastructure as a service or any of the other services, we can assist you with those now as well. But I think what Guy has shown us is that it really is quite easy in a way. It looks very, very simple. Guy, if I can perhaps just ask you another question while we've got you on the line.
Sure.
And that is, what kind of level of technical proficiency would you say someone would need in order to do that? Is there somebody, for example, if a person in a customer's IT department was to spin this up, do they really have to be a cloud expert in order to spin up a virtual server, or would they generally understand most of the questions that are being asked in that setup?
Kevin, the answer to me is, it's quite simple, and from personal experience and what I've seen is, the first time somebody spins up a server is they'll obviously be very hesitant about it. What I'd do is I'd suggest that they look at going through to the single sign-on into the Amazon console, and what they do is they spin up a free tier server that gives them a lot of sort of comforts about making choices. And what they can do is they can learn a bit from that infrastructure. But to answer your question directly, the level of technical expertise on plainly spinning up a VM is not very high. I would expect a network technician to be able to do this quite comfortably.
Okay, great. And of course, from a First for Cloud point of view, we are there to assist you as well. So if you decide that you need to do this and you need some assistance, we have a call center that's willing and able to assist and set you on the way for doing this for your customers if you want to do it for them. It's a great service. So it looks like there are no further questions that's there. So Guy, thank you so much for joining us today, and to all the attendees.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, and all the attendees on the call. Thank you for attending the call. The call will be made available via recording, and that will be on our YouTube channel, but we will advertise that going out. So wishing everybody a great rest of the Friday. Have a great weekend, and we look forward to seeing you on future webinars. Bye-bye.